Bible in 1 Year with Uchido Ayi, and I'm your host, Uchido. So, sorry, just to make sure that you can hear me properly. Okay, so this is not the usual time I normally go live, and I'm using a different mode of lighting my studio. Anyway, you're welcome. Welcome to the Bible in 1 Year with Uchido Ayi, and I'm your jolly good host. All right, so if you're joining me for the first time, you're welcome to the podcast where we look at the Bible from Genesis to Revelations. I'm just reading the Bible. I'm not a pastor. I just want to get to know. I just want to get to know more about the Bible and test the theories, the philosophies that have been shared in the Bible. Know where the stories are captured in the Bible, so that I can recognize when something is being said and is in error. I just I initially used to say and make draw my own interpretations, but hopefully I allow the Holy Spirit to interpret it to me, and then of course see where erroneous interpretations have been going on for a bit and possibly change that its application in my life. And then I chose to do it with an audience because I believe that if I did it with an audience, I would be more accountable and I'll be more disciplined. And that has been the case because honestly speaking, if I wasn't doing this knowing that someone was on the other side following, I mean I've dropped a couple of times. Like I shared the week I've been under the weather, and that's even the reason for why I have had I had to batch some of the videos together. In any case, I don't want to talk too much. Let's get started. Well, we have come to the last episode in the book of Second Chronicles, and we're going to be moving to Isreal the next episode, and then we have finally entered the book of Corinthians. So let's quickly get started. Every single day we look at this Bible, we follow a structured guide using this particular Bible study guide where we look at an Old Testament, a New Testament, a Psalm, and a Proverb. Today is day 216. Okay, so we're looking at Second Chronicles 35 and 36. Hi, Margarita. Hi. Hi. I see y'all over there. Say hi. Proverbs 20, verses 20 to 21. And then we finally enter First Corinthians chapters 1. Chapters 1. Alright, so very quickly, let's look at Josiah. Josiah kept the Passover. Remember Josiah, the baby king? Hi, I see you. You're welcome. I see y'all. Thank you for being here today. Please subscribe to my channel if you're not yet subscribed. Turn on the notification button so you can know when next I go live. Share this episode and other episodes with people who you think are curious about the Bible. All we're doing is reading the Bible, and I retell the stories, I lace it with Nigerian humor, and I dramatize when I feel like it or when I think it's necessary. So that's the crux of this. So the idea is to encourage you to go check out the scriptures for yourself as well. Okay, so we are in Second Chronicles chapters 30. We're looking at Second Chronicles chapters 35 and 36, and we're rounding up, closing the curtains on Chronicles. So Josiah was the baby king who became a king at 8 years old. Yes, his daddy was a naughty king who was running around with Ahab's son and picked a fight with someone he shouldn't have and got killed. So his 8-year-old baby child became king, and Josiah did quite well. He loved God. So Josiah restored worship in Jerusalem, and he kept the Passover. In fact, on the 14th day of the first month, he sent the priests on their duties, encouraging them to serve, encouraging priests to come back and serve. I find it hard to comprehend that in Jerusalem, where they were supposed to be the people of the priests, and I mean that was their job. They needed to be encouraged to come back to the house of God and say, what were they doing? Anyway, so he asked them to put the ark in the temple, because at that time, anytime there was going to be worship around the ark, the priests would carry it on their shoulders. it sounded like, I mean, Josiah was not like a modern king, so he's like, no, we can't do that anymore. We have to put it on, we don't, you don't need to carry it on your shoulders anymore. We're going to put it in the ark where Solomon built. The ark, in the temple that Solomon built for this ark, so that you no longer have to carry it on your shoulders. Prepare yourself according to David and Solomon's instructions from the book that we found yesterday. Discussed with the Levites according to their divisions as well. And he gave the lay people, everybody, lamb, goats, and things so that they could carry out their sacrifice, because probably there was poverty in the land as well. So his leaders gave willingly, he gave willingly, his leaders gave willingly. And in fact, they offered about 2,600 cattle for sacrifice. Now, Coniah, the guy that his dad had, I think his dad was, no, his grandfather had put in charge of the store, Coniah and his brothers also gave. Why wouldn't they give? They have quite a bit under their care, you know. Coniah and the brothers also gave, bringing the total amount of animals contributed to 5,500 cattle, 500 cattle to 5,500 cattle. Service commenced and priests got into place. Levites remained in their divisions, and the priests carried out their functions, slaughtered, sprinkled blood, all of those things, and the Levites skinned the animals while the priests did the actual sacrifices and the sprinkling of blood. So if you look back at when we looked at the book of Exodus, you'll see where the laws and how this whole dramatic act of worship was instituted. Yes, so everything was like back in the time of Samuel's days, when King David was still king. Everything was cool, they prepared portions, and everybody had what they needed to do. Anyway, so King Necho came and picked a fight with Josiah. And actually it wasn't Josiah. So so I said earlier on that it was not his dad that died, it was him, Josiah. So King Necho came to pick a fight with some other guy called Karkemish. I hope I got that pronunciation right, And Josiah decided to get involved. Maybe Karkemish was his friend, maybe his bosom, bestie, I don't know. But Josiah decided to get involved. He was in his 30s at this point, I think. 30s? I hope I captured. Okay, let's continue. I don't know if I took note of the actual age when he died. So he was in his 30s. So and then Necho was like, look, Josiah, I like you, I respect you. You have been minding your business. You are doing things with your God. I don't want to get involved with you. I came to pick a fight with your friend. Let me fight with him. But Josiah wouldn't back off. And so Josiah picked a fight with him, and he went into war. They were like, you're meddling, Josiah, just back off, please, just go. But he continued to meddle and even disguised himself so that he could go for the war. And while he was in the war, while he was at war, he wouldn't listen to God's voice. Necho was talking, and it was God's voice speaking to Josiah, but Josiah did not recognize it. He didn't listen to it. And so Josiah was fatally wounded by archers at that war. He was whisked away quickly, but he died and was buried. He was buried. Jeremiah, one of the famous prophets, like one of the big prophets of the Bible, really mourned his death. And to this day, people sing, at least to the time of when this was written, people really talked about Josiah and how sad they were in songs. Josiah's death brought a lot of sadness to the people of Israel. People of Judah, really. People of Judah. So Jehoahaz became king in his stead. Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he became king, and was king for only 3 months before he was deposed by Necho. That same Necho that killed his dad, yes. He was 23 years old when he became king, and remained king for only 3 months before he was deposed, and his brother Eliakim, who was later christened Jehoiakim, was put in his stead. And Jehoahaz was taken to Egypt. I don't know what he did and why he was taken away, and his brother was put as king. His brother was 25 years old. So his brother was older than him. You know, all these large polygamous families, yes. His brother was 20 years old and reigned for 11 years. He did what was referred to as evil in the eyes of God. And then Nebuchadnezzar. So if you ever know anything about Bible stories, the name Nebuchadnezzar was a popular name in the Bible as one of the powerful kings of Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar came and bound Jehoiakim and took him in chains and took him to the temple and took all the articles of worship that were in the temple of Judah to Babylon, and even relocated people from Babylon to Judah. You understand? His son Jehoiachin, Chin, if I were French, I'd say Jehoiachin, became king, and he was 8 years old, another 8-year-old king. He was 8 years old and was king for 3 months and 10 days. Before, he was an evil kid as well. Well, I guess at 8 years old, he couldn't have done much. He probably had bad advisors, and they told him, this is what your dad was doing, and he followed in the footsteps of his dad and was referred to as an evil king as well. He was taken into Babylon, and his brother Zedekiah became king. Zedekiah was 21 years old. Can you imagine? So they chose an 8-year-old boy to be king instead of an older person to rule. You know, the dynamics of polygamy and the dynamics of royalty, the dynamics of noble life, it's to we people who weren't where I came from, I come from royalty, but we didn't, let's just say my mom and my dad didn't live among their people, so we didn't have to deal with royal thingies. We were modern people, so we didn't live at home, and we kind of like lived in the cities and interacted with city life. So we don't have, and then my parents were not polygamous, so we don't have this kind of background for me to say, even though I am an offspring of a royal, like I have 2 grandpas that were royal. Yeah. Anyway, he had a 21-year-old brother and he was 8 years old. They made him king, and his 21-year-old brother was not. Anyway, they put his 21-year-old brother, who became king and reigned as king for 11 years as well. He too was evil and even proud. He was just not evil, he was also proud, and rebelled against King Nebuchadnezzar, that big king of Babylon, and also against God. So God sent warning after warning, I think at this point, you know, God was already kind of like fed up with them. They had gone and come back, gone and come back. Nobody was. He was just being despised and mocked. Nobody, like they didn't just connect anything they were doing to the fact that they had offended God, and so God God had it up to here. Like in one of the versions of in the Message Bible, they said God was no longer able to tolerate them. His anger was white hot. That was how it was described here. And let me see how this other version described it here. It said here, until his wrath arose against his people and there was no more remedy. So by the time, so if you read all of this, that entire dynasty of when they had their first king to when they had their last king in that old dynasty, that's when it collapsed completely. Everything collapsed. And if I were a narrator and I was like a documentary narrator, this is how it would sound as we describe the end of an era for Israel. Now let my voice, I hope I can develop that deep. My son is not here. My son has that kind of voice. So I'm gonna switch up now to documentary voice. And God was despised and mocked until his wrath arose against his people, and there was no more remedy. Using the king of the Chaldeans, he killed their young men, their virgins, their old, their weak. The temple was burnt. The articles were taken away. Those who weren't killed were taken to Babylon to become slaves, fulfilling Jeremiah's words that the land must enjoy its 70 years Sabbath in desolation. Then there'll be like one song in the background. No, 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 no. Then it will fade away, then a new dawn will come, and then they'll say, the first king of Cyrus, in his first year, under God's influence, he proclaimed in writing that God had given him all the kingdoms of the world, of the earth, and had commanded him to build him a house in Jerusalem. And whoever are the people of Jerusalem, whoever considers themselves the people of God, may get up and go, and may God be with you. Alright, so you get the gist. So that whole era ended, and God sent them away, and Jeremiah said there was going to be a time when the land will undergo Sabbath for 70 years. 70 years in desolation. Alright, so we'll see what happens with them in the next episode. Proverbs 20 and 21. Whoever curses his father or his mother, his lamp will be put out in deep darkness. An inheritance gained hastily at the beginning will not be blessed at the end. Do not say, I will recompense evil. Wait for the Lord, and he will save you. Okay, sorry, that was 22. 20 and 21. Alright, so that was verse 22. Okay, and then finally let's be introduced to the book of Corinthians. We're looking at Corinthians chapters 1, verses 1 to 17. Paul introduces himself to the Corinthians, thanking God for how they had been enriched in knowledge and wisdom, speaking and testimonies about Jesus. He noted that Jesus would keep them strong and blameless till the end. He prayed that Jesus would keep them strong and blameless till the end. He spoke about the divisions that they were caused by quarreling among the Gentiles. Someone called Chloe. So it's so European, right? Someone called Chloe. I had never seen this in the Bible before. Someone called Chloe. There was some ruckus around a lady called Chloe, and people were choosing Apollos versus Paul, versus Cephas versus Jesus. Like, everybody just felt they had these cliques in the Christendom. And Paul was like, you were baptized to Jesus, were you baptized to me? So why are you guys choosing me? Why are you guys pitying? Look, I don't want trouble. I don't want trouble. Thank God, it's only even Gaius and Crispus that I baptized. Thank God, because they didn't send me to baptize anybody. Now, this is me speaking in Nigerian parlance. They didn't send me to baptize anybody. I came to preach the Bible, the gospel, not to baptize anybody. So please, all these arguments you guys are having about Apollos and Paul and even Cephas, and even just leave me out of it. Just leave me out of it. I came to preach the gospel, not words of human wisdom, so that the message will not be stripped of its power, as Paul talking now. He said, the cross may seem foolish to those who are perishing, but to us who believe, it is the power of God unto those who are saved. All right? So whether you're wise, you're a scholar, you're a philosopher, God has made our wisdom as our intelligence. He has made... Okay, let me read how I wrote it here. God has made the world's wisdom foolishness. So however smart you think you are, when it comes to these matters of God, we are all foolish, and let's accept it. Okay, that was what Paul was saying. It's a very short scripture today. All right, and we've made it in record time. So thank you for joining me today. I'll be doing the next episode immediately, and I look forward to seeing you there if you join me here. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Margarita, M, and those who left comments. Thank you. Please go. I'll leave the scriptures in the description box so that you know what scriptures we read today, and then you can leave your comments on it as well. Thank you so much, and I'll see you. Let me know what you think.